Okay, good day everyone. So this time we will be talking about Module 9. So basically, Module 9, it's all about palliative care approach. So it's like assisting the dying person, right? So it's like part of the healthcare professionals or workers to be studying or at least somehow learn on how to take care of a palliative client or assisting a dying person. So again, Module 9, if just for your reference, it's you can find it in your must be Canadian textbook of the support worker. It's chapter 46, it's end of life care. All right. So to proceed, so we will have the terminologies. So when we talk about terminologies, palliative care first, that means it's an active compassion care or compassionate care for individuals with terminal illness when cure is no longer possible. So basically, clients are dying clients that has a terminal illness, diagnosed with terminal illness that has no cure anymore. And then the primary focus on this is just to give the quality of life that is remaining for them and also giving them the most comfortable possible. Okay. Of course, that includes the physical aspect of the individual, the emotional aspect, and spiritual support. How will we do that? Of course, making sure for the nurses or whoever if UPSW will allow to give pain medication. So our main focus is to give them pain medication possible because we want to at least feel them comfortable, let them feel comfortable and ease the pain that they're experiencing. For emotional, at least we will make them happy. I'll let them eat what they want somehow and let them experience more time with their loved ones, right? And of course, spiritual support that will depend on the client belief and culture. While hospice care, it is a supportive care provided during the final phase of life, emphasizing comfort, dignity, and quality of life rather than cure. So it's kind of like more similar or the same with palliative care. Especially in Canada, we actually interchange the words. Sometimes we use palliative, sometimes we use hospice. It's kind of like similar, but they actually have, when we talk about hospice care, it's actually more on like supportive assistance, right? So it's supportive care that provide during the final phase of their life. So our goals in palliative and hospice care, guys, I just mentioned that, of course, to control the pain and manage the distressing symptoms. So that we don't want them to feel stressed, get so tired and anything like that. So we just want them to rest and feel comfortable. Also, we want to support their death as a natural process, right? So let them realize that everyone is going to that phase. Everyone is dying. That's the end part of our life. Everyone is living, but living, learning, growing. And at the end of the day, everyone dies, right? So let them realize that you will always be there for them emotionally and spiritually and as well as physically. Support a compassionate and holistic care approach. So it's not just focusing on the physical aspect, but the holistic approach of care, right? As what I have mentioned, I'm not sure in the previous lectures, that there are like five dimensions usually in a human person: the physical, the spiritual, the emotional, what else, the cognitive, social, etc. So those should be cater. Everything should be cater and not only focusing on the physical aspect, right? So that's actually the three main goals of palliative and hospice care. When we talk about personal baggage, guys, personal baggage includes the values, beliefs, cultural perspective, and life experiences. So, as a support worker, if you are assigned into a palliative care unit, make sure that you should always set aside your personal baggage, right? There might be some tendencies that your belief doesn't meet the beliefs of the client, or sometimes your belief contradicts to the client's belief. So you should be open enough. Again, you should, at the end of the day, it should always be a client centered approach, right? I'm not saying don't believe what you believe. Of course, you believe what you believe. However, on that certain time, if you are in the workplace, please let's consider the client's preferences, the beliefs about death, the beliefs about religion, etc. Right? So, as a support worker, you must engage in ongoing self reflection to prevent the biases of like from interfering with quality care, right? Because we don't want your quality care be get stained because of what you believe in, right? So you want to make sure that you will provide the quality care possible despite of the differences that you and your client have. So palliative care team includes, of course, the client itself, the family or caregivers of the client, the home care coordinators, of course, you guys or us as support workers, nurses, physicians, social workers, therapists, spiritual advisors, and volunteers. So always remember that each member plays a vital role in addressing the physical, the emotional, the social, and spiritual needs. So addressing the holistic care approach, right? So as what I mentioned, it's not just only focusing on one aspect, but focusing on the holistic care approach, the totality of the individual. So you will need to work as a team. You need to communicate together so that you will have one goal in addressing the palliative care possible. Next, so advanced care planning. So when we talk about advanced care planning, it addresses the legal and ethical decision, including advanced directives. So let's say, for example, if the client will arrest, there might be, you need to double check if there is a medical directive of no resuscitate, or even if like he will arrest, nobody, the facility will not do anything. They will not do CPR, anything like that. So that will depends on the advanced directives of the client, right? And of course, there should be a durable power of attorney and then a quality of life consideration. So let's also consider, like, let's see if the person dies, maybe there's a special instructions or whatnot. So that will everything, that will always be included in the medical or advanced directives. And there should be the proper legalities that they need to do, or actually it should have been done before the client's death, right? So there should be a lawyer, the family's decision maker, or the client's decision maker, etc. What else? So again, in terms of patterns of dying, we have different patterns. So sudden death. When we talk about sudden death, it's just the person died unexpectedly or unexpectedly. Steady decline, usually we know that the client is sick and then we're expecting that the client will die eventually. So it's like steady decline. Sorry. And then when we talk about stuttering decline, that means like the client is declining today and then tomorrow he will get better and then now he's sick again, etc. So that's stuttering decline. While slow decline, it's like the client might be healthy, but because of very old age, there might be a slow decline, right? But the client is not sick or anything like that. So that might be an example of a slow decline. So those are some of the patterns of dying. So depends. So usually sudden death is like a person got into an accident or, like death that is unexpected. So we have grief and stages of dying. I think that's the very common one that we have remember before, that DABDA. Um, DABDA stands for D for denial, A for anger, B for bargaining, D for depression, and A for acceptance, right? So that's the stages of grieving. So again, when we talk about grief, it's a natural process that we experience, both dying individuals and of course their loved ones. Even the dying person, especially if they're still like alive and they're already on their end stage, they might gonna experience the process of grieving, right? Because they will be separated and they know that where they are going. So again, that should be again, that is a natural process in terms of dying. And I already mentioned the stages of grief, which is denial. The person might be denial that, oh, he's not, it's not true, it's not happening like that. Angered, and he will get mad because it's happening to him literally. And then when we about bargaining stage, that means like he might gonna go at bargain to the Lord or whoever he believes that, oh, why me? I will try to do my best, give you another chance, blah blah blah. So that's the bargaining stage, right? Depression, the person might so depressed and cannot like really like accept it, but then again he has nothing to do about it until the acceptance comes in, right? Until the acceptance comes in. So again, those stages are normal in the process of grieving. So individuals may move through these stages differently, depends on the individual or the coping mechanism of that individual, or may not in a fixed order. All right, so that again depends on the person. What are the needs of a dying person, right? So dying person needs physiological, psychological, social, and spiritual needs, right? Physiological, making sure giving them the comfort that they deserve possible. Psychological, their emotional aspect, spending time with loved ones, anything like that. And social and spiritual needs, right? Social, mingling with the loved ones, spending quality time together. So again, effective communication, listening, and therapeutic touch are very essential components of care. So as much as possible during the times of palliative care approach, you should always listen. You should know how to communicate. You should know to give professional therapeutic touch to your clients who are, even to the family members of the clients who are dying. Okay, so even dying clients still have the Bill of Rights. So dying individuals have the right to dignity, they have the right to be, for you as a worker to be honest for them, they have the right to experience pain relief, they have the right to show emotional expression, and of course participation in decisions, in care decisions, and not the right of in not dying alone. So if they request that their family should be beside him or what, or if they want to do something special, special treatment before they die, then that is their right. Okay, what else? So pain and symptom management, as what been mentioning, that comfort for physical aspects should always be given in terms of palliative care or hospice care approach, because it should be guided by client's goal, include the regular assessment, scheduled medication, like they will be given stronger pain medications like every 4 hours, every 6 hours, making sure that they are always, at rest and this and not stressful, giving them the comfort measures and then the emotional supports that they needed, and of course other alternative therapies when appropriate, like rubbing the pain area or the muscles, anything like that, right? So that will always depends on the client's care plan with regard to the palliative care approach. So what are the signs of when the person is approaching death? So common signs include, of course, there might be a decrease into actions or movement. There might be changes in the breathing patterns. Maybe the person might have difficulty of breathing or maybe catching his breath every now and then, right? The person might start reducing the intake. They don't have the appetite. They don't want to eat that much. And sometimes they get into confusion. Like sometimes they thought they're awake, they're asleep or whatnot, or they're talking something that is like really out of nowhere, right? Skin changes. And of course, they are more on like sleeping side than being awake, right? So again, in based on my experience, there might be some clients who are like this for a week, but after that they come back to their normal routine. So that is an example of the stuttering death, right? Like there might be some tendency that they are like 1 week of being like showing signs of dying, and then after a week they're getting back to normal. So sometimes it's happen. You will observe that when you will be in working in a long-term care facilities. So yeah, so that's possible. So what do we do? What care do we do after that? Of course, that's what we call the post-mortem care. It should be provided respectfully and promptly, following institutional policy. So again, when we say post-mortem care, there are possible things that we need to do. It could be ESW or even like the nurses on the on RPN. I think is not allowed to declare death, but it's the doctor. I think some of the nurse practitioner or even the RN now can declare. I'm not really sure with that, but I think I remember the last time when I was in the long-term care facility, an RN is the one who declared death for the person, right? And making sure that they will do a proper post-mortem care. Of course, they need to change the client or if it's something like that, and then cover the client with white blanket, right? And if there's any religious or cultural practices that the client requested after death, then we need to consider that, okay? Making sure that we always prepare the body before bringing them to the morgue, and of course, supporting the family's loss as well. That's part of the palliative care approach. All right. So that actually ends our module 9. It's all about palliative care approach. I would always recommend that you read further in terms of the palliative care in your book. It's always in chapter 46. If I'm not mistaken, let me just go back to the first page. It's chapter 46, End of Life Care, of your Mosby's Canadian textbook of support for the support workers. Okay? So that's it for module 9. I'll see you guys in module 10.